Welcome to the Mr. Phelps Show. Thank you guys, thank you. Appreciate it, thank you all. Appreciate you being here. It looks like I got my different mug today. Different Red Sox mug. Still a mug, but different Red Sox mug. Got it with me today. Just wanted to check in with you all. We're in for the long run for the rest of the school year. And really only got 6 more weeks or so left. And it's been quite an eventful year. And today's show isn't going to be super crazy with a bunch of stuff like I did last show. I'm just going to get right to the point on what we're doing in our classes and show you what the work is for the week and give you some strategies to improve. I'm not going to do too much into the books. I mean, we're in between books. We did a lot with the books. It's just going to be short and sweet. Alright? So without further ado, not going to do the whole news, the weather. We don't have a whole lot going on except just what we're doing for class this week. So without further ado, let's get into English 11. English 11. So pretty simple this week. We got essay writing all week. Your essay is going to be due next Monday. Okay, I believe that's Monday the 11th, I want to say. No, this is Monday the 11th. It's going to be the following Monday. So you have this whole week and the following Monday to finish up the essay. After that, we're going to get into a unit, college readiness unit, where we're going to work on resumes, college essays, things like that. So it'll be a pretty easy transition to the college unit, and it's going to be something that you're going to appreciate when you go off to college. And yeah, so that's what we're doing there. So I'm going to have a video at the end of this just to give you a tour of the Purdue Writing Lab and talk a little bit about MLA citations, MLA, APA, just so you get familiar with it and you understand it, a little bit into sources too, because that's super important when you go off to college. You're going to need to, as I said, you're going to need to write, and you're going to need to find your own sources. I know college essays I've looked at, some of those require you to use 8 to 10 sources, okay? You have senior paper, when you graduate college, even in your higher level classes that aren't seminar courses, you still might need 10 sources or so to support whatever you're doing. No matter what subject, psychology, business, all these subjects, you're going to need sources to support for your essay. So it's super important we look at those. Alright, so essay writing plus tune into this video later on to see some MLA and source, okay, to learn a little bit more about it. Alright, moving on. Let's do English 9 next, okay? English 9, you're going to be finishing your projects today with Romeo and Juliet. You should be all done with the reading, going through your last set of reading for Romeo and Juliet. We kind of already knew what was going to happen. The characters die at the end. Yes, no surprise. We knew that from the prologue. But you see how the story now moves from the beginning to the end. We see how the tragedy unfolds. We see where Romeo had some tragic flaws that made him a tragic character. Juliet as well. So we see all of that coming together at the end. And yes, the characters do die. The families are left to blame. And they end up respecting each other a little more, the Montagues and Capulets, after their deaths, but it's at the expense of their children. So that's that. You're finishing your project Monday, and then we're diving right into Of Mice and Men. Okay, so there's a PowerPoint I have posted for part of the homework. You're going to have questions on Chapter 1 and background info from the PowerPoint. So I want you to look at the PowerPoint, write down the information that fills in those fills in the sections for background, and then start reading Chapter 1. I have the book posted for you. It's a PDF. You're going to have to refer to the PDF. and answer the questions for Chapter 1. A lot of these questions, some of them are going to be just straight up short answer, might be 1 or 2 words, might be a sentence. Make sure you answer all of the question. If it says explain, explain. If there's 2 questions, answer both of them, because otherwise you're going to lose some credit there. Also, we're going to do a lot more with quoting, okay? Figuring out how to use quotes from the text. So later on, when you have a paper or an assignment that's going to be like a paper with this book of Mice and Men, you're going to already have quotes because I had you find them in your homework. So you're going to refer to those and quote in your homework. Some of the questions ask for quotes. So that's where those are going to be useful. So finish PowerPoint, which is due Monday, slideshow of Disney and Romeo and Juliet. Finish that up. Dive into the background info in the PowerPoint of Mice and Men. Answer those questions. And Chapter 1 of Mice and Men. Answer those questions. You will be expected to read anywhere from 10 to 17 pages in the next coming weeks of this book, so we can cruise right through it to the end of the year. All right? English 10. Okay? English 10. So we just got through Act 3, which is the biggest act of Julius Caesar. We have a lot happening here. Let me get to my notes right here. So Caesar recognizes Brutus is one of the conspirators, and he says, "You too, Brutus." That's one of the biggest quotes of the play. "You too, Brutus," because Brutus, if you remember, was his friend, and now Brutus is helping the conspirators kill Caesar. So it's a big turning point when Caesar sees that, and it's one of the most notable quotes. You're going to see that this part of the novel, we're done with kind of tragedy number 1, where Caesar dies. We knew it was going to happen. That's tragedy number 1. Now tragedy number 2 picks up right here and centers around Brutus. Okay? So it's kind of like a double tragedy. Caesar dies, he gets killed. That's tragedy 1. Now tragedy 2, we carry on with Brutus. So we know something bad is still to come, but we're continuing the tragedy. Okay? So this is kind of like turning point where Brutus is here. We do notice there are parts where you can resonate with Brutus about killing Caesar, because there are parts where Caesar does show his power. Like in the very beginning with Flavius and Flavius and Morellius, where they were told by Caesar not to take down the decorations. They got in trouble for it. And now we hear that Cimber is going to be banished without giving an extra chance. We see Caesar using his power to do that. So in some ways, even if you are on the side of Caesar, you can resonate with Brutus for these types of actions that Caesar is imposing, where he's showing his power. Okay? Again, power, one of the main 5 themes. You see it there. Alright? So just wanted to point that out, that even though, you know, Caesar was killed pretty ruthlessly, he did have some setbacks to show that he was very powerful, and that's the reason they went to kill him. So there is some validity to the conspirators, if a little bit. The third point, Mark Antony plays down the murder. Right when the murder happens, he plays it down. He almost acts as if he's friends with Brutus and Cassius, and he acts like he's sorry that this happened, but he's understanding until we see him speak. Okay, so he kind of plays it down. He plays down the murder, and then when he's giving a chance to speak at the funeral, he turns everyone against the conspirators. Okay, so he could have played deadly here. He could have fought back, played violently, but no, he kind of took a step back, got his chance at the funeral to speak, and he used rhetoric, the power of rhetoric, to cause this shift in the population. This is where you see stupidity in the masses come front and center. Pretty much everywhere. I mean, the public's pretty stupid to switch from Brutus, liking Brutus and hearing his speech, to just liking Mark Antony's speech right after. They pretty much just shift. The conspirators are kind of stupidity of the masses, because they were just played by Mark Antony and his rhetoric, who's going to start a civil war, hint hint. And then, so you see stupidity of the masses come to life, just like power did. Alright? The fourth point I'd like to make, just like Caesar ignored warning signs, had a tragic downfall, Brutus has ignored some warning signs. Okay? And we know that it's a tragedy. You can kind of anticipate what's happening next. So what does Brutus ignore? He ignores warning signs like Caesar did. He doesn't listen to Cassius about Mark Antony. He gives Mark Antony a chance to speak. Cassius also becomes dangerous. Okay, so we see Cassius become dangerous. He was dangerous before, he's dangerous now. He really wants to take control of this thing. He wanted to not give Mark Antony a chance. Brutus is the nice guy. He's giving Mark Antony a chance, but he doesn't realize it's also his downfall to let Mark Antony talk at the funeral to turn everyone against them. So you kind of have these different factors playing out. You see the character traits conflicting with each other. You know, if Brutus listened to Cassius, they might be okay and nothing happens. You know, they become ruthless leaders, but the idea is he doesn't listen to Cassius because he wants to be honorable. He thinks he should give Mark Antony a chance to speak for his friend, but it's also his downfall. So you have all these things playing out. And that's basically it that I wanted to go over for what we covered in Act 3. There was a lot there, so hopefully you got that from reading it. Just wanted to go over it, kind of get it fresh in your mind. This week we got kind of a busy week. You're going to read Acts 4 and 5 together. They're smaller, so we're going to finish the play, read Acts 4 and 5, answer some questions, and you're going to look at a slides presentation on rhetoric, okay? Now, I know I gave you one before, but this one is specifically for a project you're going to do. So in this project, you're going to choose a speech, any speech online. I have to look at it first to approve it, and you're going to find, you're going to analyze the speech in ethos, pathos, logos, looking at the speaker, looking at all the parts of the speech, connecting it to Julius Caesar. You're going to do a slides presentation, and you're going to analyze the speech, and that's going to be your final project for this book. Alright, so this PowerPoint that I have is going to kind of guide you through that, and you're going to create a guide, or an organizer, I should call it, that starts you off. I want you to search online, find a speech. There's some listed in the PowerPoint, but I want you to search online, find one that you're familiar with, and list some reasons why it would be a good one to analyze and why it would be a good one to show pathos, ethos, logos, and, you know, looking at the speech, how we can connect it back to Julius Caesar. Just looking at all the pieces. You're going to be doing this project next week. I'm going to give you from, well, end of this week, I'll post it, until the following Monday. Not the next Monday after this, but the following one. So you're going to have all that week to work on this project. There's quite a few slides. It's going to be all analysis. Again, ethos, pathos, logos. You're going to summarize the speech. Look at the context of the speech. Where was it spoken? Why is it important? Make some kind of connection to Julius Caesar, just so we can see how they can connect, why we're learning this. So you're going to look at it from all different avenues. Alright? I'm going to have an actual template that you can choose to use if you want to. You don't have to, but it's going to have everything slide by slide that you can include. There's a rubric posted, and you have this first presentation that I want you to watch to guide you through rhetoric and what you're doing in this project. There's also a slide on there where you are going to interactively give me the answer after you watch the speech and tell me what you thought of the speech. I'm going to count that as a grade to make sure that you've gone through the PowerPoint and looked at it. So make sure you go to that slide. There'll be a link. It'll ask you to type in a password. You type in the password that I give you, and you type in what you learned from the speech, and I'm going to be able to see it on my end. So if you have questions with that, follow up with me. We'll get through it. But basically, you have 4 and 5, Acts 4 and 5, the worksheet. You have the PowerPoint to look at, and then you have the speech organizer, which you're going to start organizing your speech before you do the project. So we're kind of doing it in steps. Any questions, email me. It should be pretty straightforward if you look at all the materials and follow through. All right? That's basically it for what we have for our different classes. I do want to say that I will be hosting on Wednesday the open, what's it called, the free session where you can come online and talk to me, talk to other students. We're going to do the same times for each class. 9 a.m. Wednesday will be 9th grade, 10 a.m. I'm going to do 11, and then 11 a.m. I'm going to do 10th grade. I know it's kind of flip-flop there. I kind of like it like that, but I want to see you guys. I want to see you guys come with questions about writing, about projects. You know, if you have questions, that's the best place to come and get them answered. Yes, I can do it online. I know I respond very quickly, but if you go on there and we meet face-to-face, sometimes that's better to help you. So I will be there. It's your choice whether you want to come or not, but it's very helpful. We can discuss, go over things, and I'm going to post a link, maybe even email it out this time, and hopefully to see you there if you have any questions. All right? So that about sums it up. Again, that's covering everything we've done for the week. Need me, email me, and hopefully you got scheduled for the week and you can get going. Stick around. We are going to do a little bit on MLA, APA, Purdue Writing Lab website, tour of that, just so you have an idea. Also look at sources a little bit. So super important for when you get to college and you need to cite sources and you need to find sources for research. So stick around and watch this. All right? Thank you. Alright guys, I've just had another sip of coffee and now we're getting to the fun stuff. Alright, so before I go into the website where I show you MLA citations, I want to show you my works cited page and kind of go over that first, just so you have an idea. Okay, now I've done this in college so many times for so many papers. It's kind of ironic how English always uses MLA, but when I went to college for education, which is a different field than English, believe it or not, they want you to cite an APA. So most of the humanities, English, some histories, related subjects, they use MLA format, whereas most of the sciences use APA format. So they're two different kinds of formats. You're going to have to get familiar with both of them. For the purposes of this class, we're using MLA. Now, I'm going to go to the end of my paper right here, okay? Now, we don't have to do this perfectly, but I want you to have a works cited page. If you remember, it's 2 points on your essay. It's just works cited, one that you have it and one that it's done correctly in MLA style. So MLA works cited page should be a separate page from your paper, okay? If I see it on the same page, I might take half a point off. Separate page, new page, okay? You should have at the top works cited. Then you should have your sources listed in MLA format, okay? So this is MLA format. Yes, I even use one of those machines or whatever to put my source in and have it come out in MLA. I use those a lot of times. That being said, you can use those, but you still need to check it and make sure that it's MLA format. Don't give me something that says you found cited and it's cited in APA and you put it in here. No, I want it MLA. I'm going to show you that process of what MLA looks like. So just by looking at it, you might not memorize it. I haven't memorized it, but you can tell that it's MLA. Okay? So this is MLA format. If you notice, it's in alphabetical order, okay? That's standard. Your sources should be alphabetically ordered by the names of the authors. If you don't have names of the authors, then whatever starts the source. Alphabetical order. Okay, so I use 4 sources for my paper of Titanic versus The Great Gatsby. I used the movie Titanic. I used the article we read in class about the American Dream, which was a short history that shaped the nation, which mentions the Epic of America in it. That was the first thing I gave you before we started Gatsby, to learn about the American Dream. Then I cited the book, and I also cited the movie, only because even though I didn't reference the movie so much, it's still being compared to Titanic. I want to include both of them, so they're both here. So for your works cited, you already have 2 that are done for you if you choose the book and the movie. They're right here in front of you. Okay, you can copy and paste it off of mine and put it into yours. That's 2 sources you can use, okay, because that doesn't change. Although there were many ways to cite the book, as long as you have the right date, 1925, the right author, the right publisher, I'm not going to go in a frenzy looking for one over the other. I just want to see that you've done it and it's in MLA to the best that you can, and that it looks, you know, looks like what you're using. All right, so it's alphabetized. Now the other thing you have to do is make it hanging. See how these kind of like the first line right here, it starts and then it indents the second line. That's called hanging. If you have a little trouble with that, I'll be, you know, I won't get you on that because you're learning. But generally, you want to set it up hanging. If you put it in a thing that cites for you, it automatically does it. But if you just have it on here, you want to go to hanging. And how you do that is you go to, here you click Format, okay? You go to Align and Indent, okay? Format, Align, or I guess you go to Indentation Options, okay? You have Indentation, Special Indent, Hanging. So you want to highlight the part that you want hanging. Play around with it a little bit because it's not perfect when you first see it. But once you play around with it, you want it to look like this, where the first line is out first. Everything after it is kind of indented, okay? So then again, you go to Format. You go to Align Indent, Indentation Options, and you go down to Special Indent. Normally it says None. You want to click Hanging, but you want to do it, you're going to have to highlight the part that you want hanging, okay? It's not going to do everything for you. You have to highlight the part you want, all right? Then you click Apply, and then that should give you this whole thing. Just made a mistake there somewhere. To indent, all right? So that's kind of what it looks like, finished product. It's really not that difficult. Some of you might only have 2 sources, the book itself and the extra source you use. Some might have 3. Whatever sources you use in the paper, whether you actually quoted them or you cited them, they all need to be on this works cited page, okay? I might take points off, say you mentioned something from another source and you didn't put it in your works cited page. Maybe I'll take half a point off or something, because everything you use in your paper for sources should be on this page, on this works cited page, okay? Whether you paraphrased it and you're citing it, or whether you quoted it and you're citing it, it all goes on here. All right? So that being said, I'm going to go to the Purdue Writing Lab website, okay? We're going to look at that for a bit because this is the best source for citing MLA and APA. I'm not going to go too much into the APA because for the purposes of this class, we don't need it, but this has all APA on it. Let me do Purdue MLA. If you can't find it, just Purdue MLA, put it in there. You'll find it. It'll come up. Here it is. It'll say MLA Formatting and Style Guide. Okay. Now, all your options are on the side here. Okay. You have MLA. All here are all options. Right? And if you want to switch, APA is right here. Okay. So APA is there, and there's a couple other ones that are there that we're not going to go into, like IEE, AMA. We don't need those for now. If you go into other fields like medical fields, you might need them. Chicago, you might need for history. But we're concentrating on MLA, and also APA is important to know. Even though we're not using it, look it over, because you're going to have to know both of these pretty fluently when you get to college. Okay, so MLA. When you actually create a works cited list, this is the order that everything should be in. Again, most of you are putting this into a thing that's putting the order for you, but you need to then go back and check it and make sure that these are all in order. You have author, title of source, title of container, other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication, location. Okay? Now, you might not have all of these. If you're missing, say, version, okay, because that's one that's sometimes commonly missed, then you omit that. So you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever you don't have, you omit, okay? So you might only have 3 of these. You might only have author, title, and the publication date. Then that's all you put. You put those in that order, okay? So that's how that works. For each source, you're going to follow this right here. You're going to look at the source, and you're going to include these in this order, okay? So as you see here, they did author, then this would be the title of it, which is italicized. It's in quotes if it's a smaller work, but italicized here. And then the publisher, or this is, I don't think, publisher's usually italicized too. No, I guess not. This is the name of the work. Then you have the publisher, comma, then the date. Okay, those of you who are giving me dates in parentheses in the beginning, that's incorrect. That's APA. The date should be comma, then the date, and it should be somewhere near the end. Okay, so publication date, 8. Okay, that's where it should be in MLA. All right, not up in the front in parentheses. I will mark off if you do that, okay, because I have a video here showing you. All right, so that's kind of how you go through it. Take a look at this, okay? As you see, these ones add more and more. If you have the link, you want to put the link. Now, this is just the standard. If you look on the side here, we'll go into in-text citations in a second. But you have basic format. That's kind of what we're looking at here. Here's basic format. Now, there's other formats here. You have books. That's pretty common. You know, you're going to cite our book, The Great Gatsby, using this format for the book. Pretty self-explanatory. It does get a little more challenging because there's other sources out there. But this website, this Purdue website, has all of them. So you don't have to worry about it. It has it from YouTube to pieces of art that you're citing. I mean, it's really good that way. Notice here you have the indent. I was talking about the hanging. Okay, so that's showing it here. So if you go here, you have periodicals, electronic sources. A lot of you might be using this. If you're using websites, you're using articles from websites. It's a basic style for electronic sources, okay? Citing an entire website right here tells you how to cite a website, okay? So here's the format. A page on a website, an ebook, an image. You know, if you obviously we won't do that, but it's good to know if you have a slides presentation, you're citing an image, if it's really important to do that. An article in a web magazine. Some of you might have that, but a lot of you have an article in an online scholarly journal. Okay, this is an important one. So an article in an online scholarly journal. A lot of you have these. Here's the format right here, okay, for MLA. That's the order of it, okay? And then there's one that also appears in print. So there's a couple different variations. Now, you really can't go wrong. If you mistake one for the other here, like if you do the online one, it's also in print and you don't know about it, not a big deal because you're still following relatively almost the same exact format. It's just slight variation, so not a big deal. The important part is to have them in the right order. If you omit stuff by accident, I'm not going to be a stickler with that kind of stuff. I'm going to look at it and see if you've used MLA format and if you have most of the things in there that can tell me what the source is. Okay? So you can even cite email interviews, a tweet. Okay? There's a ton of stuff on here. Okay? So that's there. Other common sources, let's look in here. You have an interview. Yes, you can actually cite an interview with someone. See, personal interview, and when you had it. Online interviews, speeches, lectures, other oral presentations, okay? So if my 10th graders are watching this, this is where you will format your speech that you find online for this project. This is how you cite it here, okay? So here it is, the person, name of the speech. I think this is who's offering it right here. It's all on here. Published conference proceedings, a painting, sculpture, or photograph. You can actually cite a painting, sculpture, or photograph right here. Person who did it, what it's called, when it was made, where you found it, like the art institution. So all of these are here, a song or an album, films or movies. So I use Titanic, okay? So here's Star Wars, Episode 4, New Hope. Lucas George, director, Star Wars, Episode 4, New Hope. It's on there. Films or movies, television shows, all these different kinds. Netflix, Hulu. This has everything on it, okay? Podcasts, digital files. There's one for YouTube. I don't remember where the YouTube one was. It's on here. It might be here. No. But if you can't find it, you can always search MLA YouTube video site, and you'll find it, and it'll probably come up with this website. So that's that. You just look up all on here what you need. Okay, so we're not going to look too much into everything on here. There's so much on here, but if you need it, it's here. Okay, we're not going to look at endnotes and footnotes. You're not going to need those. We're not going to get that in depth with MLA. Formatting quotations, you kind of already know that. No red ink, hint, hint. That's why we do that kind of stuff. But we are going to look at in-text citations, okay? Because this you will need, okay? So we're going to review this. So there's two different ways you can do it, all right? So if you're mentioning something from The Great Gatsby and you're mentioning a quote, or even if you're paraphrasing, from a source, you need to mention who wrote that source, okay? So you can either put the page number, if it's from the Gatsby and that's your primary source, the page number after it, after you put the quotes, like they have it here. Wordsworth stated that the romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So they have the author name here, and then they just put the page number. Or you can just state the fact, put the same quote, and put the author in parentheses here. So a couple different ways of doing it. Now, in-text citations, the point of these is to refer back to your works cited page. So say you cite something, you have the source listed, and this source goes back to your works cited page. So that's why I'm saying everything on your works cited page needs to be included in your paper and vice versa. Because when you cite it in your paper, you're giving somebody else credit, but you're also showing that you're credible. You're using them in your paper to sound credible to make a point, okay? And you want to reference that, okay? And it goes right back to your works cited page. So then, person who's looking at this, if they want to find the source, they look for Wordsworth. They're probably going to look at the bottom of your works cited page for W. They're going to find him. Then they're going to find the source connected to this. So then if they ever want to look and see if you're credible, they can go research that source themselves, okay? Not that anyone's going to do that, but that's kind of the point, okay? So now there's other different ways you can do in-text citations. So this is with a known author, okay? We just kind of went over that. Now, if you don't know the author, like a lot of websites you come across, you're not going to know the author, you will have to put the name of the website in quotes, abbreviated, and that'll be how you do your in-text citation here, okay? So there's different variations, so it's important to take a look at this because you might have to do something like this if you don't have an author name or if it calls for that. So other than that, I mean, this has everything on it. The only thing online. The only thing I would mention is, I guess this cites it for you too. So if you put it in here, it'll cite it for you. It says online citation machine, so that's cool. So, yeah, this basically has everything. We'll take a brief look into the APA. I'm not going to go deep into it because, like I said, we do MLA in this class, but it is good to look at this. So, APA, American Psychological Association style. Okay, cite sources within social sciences. Okay, so this is just an overview. Now, if you look here, this what is APA style? Just gives you this. APA, I know APA differs. MLA is more like this is a literary source. You can use it from any date and cite it. APA, usually a lot of the social sciences, you need updated material as much as you can. And that's why the date is first on these ones, or close to the beginning, because you want to make sure they're updated. People are going to be looking for that date, and they're in parentheses, okay? So let's see if we can get a couple here. So that's why it's like that general format. So you see I clicked here, APA Formatting and Style Guide. Much like the other list for MLA, it's all on here. Now I think APA you do use footnotes more. I'm not as familiar with that, but it's all on here. But basically, and you also use title page. I have done title pages with APA. MLA doesn't use title page. APA does. So this is title page, looking into that. So let's see. The typical way to do it would be the author's name is still first. So this is like a bunch of different authors in this one. And then you do last edited date in parentheses. So those parentheses are APA, not MLA. So see how they did it here? 2019, December 20th. Then you do the title, the resource, italicized, and then site name, and then the site address. So very similar, but it's reorganized a bit, and there's a focus on the date rather than the actual material because people want to get the most updated date with this, okay? Now, there's one other thing I want to show you, MLA, that I forgot to. Not the title page, but just how it starts. Overview. Just to show you this here, formatting, general format. Yes, right here. So MLA doesn't have a title page, but it does have these four things to start on the edge of your paper. And I think you've seen this before. So you have your name, the professor or whatever class it, or whatever teacher it is there, the class name third, and then the date. That's generally how it is. I'm not going to be super picky with this one on that. I do want the works cited page, but that's how it looks like on this. So that's how it's set up. No title page for MLA unless it asks you to have one. APA, there generally is a title page. And that's that. Look at this website, Purdue University, Purdue Online Writing Lab. I'll also post it to our Google Sites. You will be using this in college, okay? This is a college. A lot of colleges refer to this site, and it's super important to know about citations, and this is the site that has everything for it. All right? So if you have any questions, you can ask me personally. This kind of wraps up what I wanted to show you. I am expecting you to know a little bit of knowledge on this, as much as I told you. You don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert, but I want you to know the typical format, use MLA, have the works cited page, and have it accurately, okay? So this website, looking at this, should have no excuses for like not putting in the right format, because even if you use a citation thing to help you, you can go back and check the format on here to make sure it's correct. All right? Sounds good. Good luck writing your papers this week. Take your time. You guys will do fine. Remember, MLA Works Cited. Use this website to help you, and check in with me. Want to see you guys on Wednesday. If you want to check in and tell me about your essay, or even just talk about the week, be happy to. And yeah, enjoy it. Thank you.